Throughout its footballing history, Nigeria has had a number of players who kept on securing accolades both locally and internationally. These players have achieved legendary status for their country. So let's look at 15 of Nigeria's most decorated football players. At number 15, we have Victor Ikpeba. He played it like a man with a point to prove, especially to the doubters who thought his small frame couldn't carry the weight of a nation's hopes. He carved out a name for himself, not just in Nigeria, but across Europe, most notably in the French Ligue 1. His crowning club moment came in the 1996-1997 season when he helped AS Monaco clinch the Ligue 1 title, a league not typically generous to Nigerian players back then. Internationally, he was part of the golden generation that stormed Africa in 1994 to win the African Cup of Nations, and then took on the world in 1996 to claim the Olympic gold in Atlanta. Then came 1997 and Victor Ikpeba was named African Footballer of the Year. That was peak validation, the year he finished second top scorer in the UEFA Cup and helped Monaco reach the semi-finals. He was deadly, confident and clinical. His trophy cabinets might not be overflowing compared to some others, but the quality of what's in there is top tier. One league title, an AFCON, an Olympic gold and a Continental Player of the Year award. That's a resume many would kill for. And the Continental Player of the Year award is why even with just 3 major trophies, Victor Ikpeba sits comfortably among Nigeria's most decorated stars. At number 14, we have Emmanuel Emunike. He had that rare blend of pace, power and pose that made defenders panic. When Nigeria lifted the African Cup of Nations in 1994, it was Emunike who backed both goals, and that alone would have been enough to write him into Super Eagles folklore, but the man wasn't done. 2 years later, he was part of the team that stunned the world in Atlanta by clinching Olympic gold. That gold medal wasn't just a shining trinket, it was a loud announcement. Nigeria had arrived and Emunike was at the heart of the charge. Individually, 1994 was his peak. He was crowned African Footballer of the Year, beating out a strong field. That same year, he also finished as the top scorer at the AFCON. What makes Emunike's career even more special is that he did it all despite brutal injuries that robbed him of the chance to truly light up Europe. His time at clubs like Sporting CP and Barcelona was hampered by persistent knee problems. Still, his talent was so undeniable that even with those setbacks, he made his mark. He might not have a pile of club trophies, but Emunike's name still echoes through Nigerian football history. AFCON winner, Olympic gold medalist, African Footballer of the Year. That's not just decoration, that's legacy. At number 13, we have Rashidi Yekini. Yekini wasn't your typical trophy shelf kind of legend. He didn't stack up medals the way some of his peers did, but when it came to scoring goals and leaving a mark that time can't erase, the man was in a league of his own. No major league titles, no Champions League nights, no glamorous stints at Europe's elite clubs, but none of that dulled his shine. What Yekini lacked in silverware, he more than made up for with his firepower in front of goal and his role as a pioneer for Nigerian footballers on the global stage. He was Africa's best in 1993, officially crowned African Footballer of the Year. That's no small feat. The same year, he tottled the Portuguese top flight, finishing as Premier Liga's top scorer with 21 goals to Victoria Setúbal. And while he never quite found his footing at Olympiacos or Sporting Gijon, his boots stayed hot whenever he pulled on the green and white of Nigeria. Yekini bled for Nigeria. 46 goals in 58 appearances is the kind of international scoring record that makes strikers jealous across generations. He still holds the title for Nigeria's all-time top scorer. And then came that unforgettable moment in 1994 when he punched the net after scoring Nigeria's first ever World Cup goal against Bulgaria, arms wide, face lit with emotion. He also lit up the 1994 African Cup of Nations, not only winning the title with the Super Eagles, but also topping the tournament scoring. One couldn't talk about Nigeria's football rise in the 90s without putting Yekini's name in bold. That's what makes him decorated, not the medals, but the moments. At number 12, we have Shun Obami. Nicknamed Mathematical because of his precision, his moves were as calculated as they were dazzling. He played the bulk of his career in Nigeria, yet his reputation echoed beyond the borders. And when you stack career achievements together, it's clear why he's one of the most decorated footballers the country has ever produced. With shooting stars, Obami turned domestic dominance into an art. 3 Nigerian league titles, 1974, 1980 and 1982, 2 FA Cup wins, and perhaps the crown jewel of his club career, leading shooting stars to Africa's first ever continental title for for a Nigerian team the African Cup Winners' Cup in 1976. That wasn't just a win, it was a statement. It was the beginning of Nigerian club football making serious noise across the continent. And when it came to international play, Obi brought the same fire. In 1980 African Cup of Nations, its first ever title, Obi was front and center, scoring twice in the final against Algeria. He had already been the tournament's top scorer in 1978 and then again in 1980, cementing his place as one of Africa's deadliest forwards. He ended his international career with 23 goals in 46 caps, just one behind the Yekini in terms of goals per game. And decades later, MasterCard would name him to the African team of the 20th century. That's how long his legacy has lasted. Obi may have played before the age of satellite TV and Instagram highlight reels, but those who saw him play never forgot he helped define Nigerian football. At number 11, we have the great Stephen Keshi. They called him the Big Boss, and it wasn't just a nickname, it was a whole personality. He carried himself with that iron-back composure, the type that turned heads even when he wasn't touching the ball. Keshi made his mark on the European scene when Nigerian footballers were still treated like afterthoughts. In Belgium, with Anderlecht, he became one of the few Africans to lift the Belgian Pro League trophy back in 1991. In 1994, Nigeria had a golden generation and Keshi captained the team. That year, the country won the African Cup of Nations. Nigeria had come close to greatness for years, but it was Keshi who finally wore the armband when they crossed the line. That same year, he captained Nigeria to their first ever World Cup appearance, another check on his legacy checklist. Long after he hung up his boots, Keshi returned to the touchline and did what few men in football history have ever done. He won the AFCON as a coach too in 2013. That moment turned him from a national hero into a continental legend. Keshi's influence was never about stats. He was a movement, a man who led from the back and taught a nation how to win from the front. When he died in 2016, Nigeria and Africa lost a football hero. Next up at number 10, we have Joseph Yobo. His career was like a slow burning candle, steady, resilient, and bright all the way through. He wasn't flashy, he didn't chase headlines, but you could count on him to show up game after game, year after year. And man, did he show up. With 101 caps for Nigeria, Yobo didn't just wear the green and white, he wore it out. Alongside Vincent Yema, he holds the records for the most appearances for the Super Eagles. That's over a decade of national service, multiple tournaments, different managers, shifting tactics, and he still kept making the starting 11. And his club career is criminally underrated. He was the first Nigerian to captain Everton, and in that rugged 2006-2007 Premier League season, one of the 7 players to play every single minute. That's 3,420 minutes of blood, sweat, and clean tackles. In a league known for breaking bodies, Yobo stood tall and stayed there. His big silverware moments came with Fenerbahce in Turkey, where he helped them win the Super League in the 2012-2013 season. That same year, he added the crown jewel, an African Cup of Nations trophy with Nigeria. It had been 19 years since the country last lifted it, and there he was, one of the veterans who'd been through the heartbreaks and near misses, finally hoisting it high. At number 9, we have Vincent Yema. He didn't just wear the gloves for Nigeria, he wore the weight of the nation's hope and still found a way to make magic out of pressure. 2 CAF Champions League titles with Yema in 2003 and 2004 were just the beginning, back to back. That's how he announced himself on the continental stage. Domestically, he led the Imba to 2 Nigerian Premier League titles in 2002 and 2003, making Aba feel like the capital of Nigerian football. But Yema didn't stop there. He took his talent to Europe and lit up League One with Lille. In the 2013 season, he came within just 15 minutes of breaking the all-time League One clean sheet record. Think about that, France has had some of the greatest goalkeepers ever, and here was a Nigerian, a camp giant brushing shoulders with history. Internationally, Yema became a cornerstone for the Super Eagles for over a decade. 101 caps, that's the second highest in Nigerian history. But it wasn't just quantity, it was quality. He had 8 consecutive clean sheets for Nigeria between 2008 and 2009. And in 2013, the Super Eagles lifted the African Cup of Nations in South Africa. Yema was between the sticks. His calm presence, shot-stopping brilliance, and leadership sealed Nigeria's 3rd continental title. And who could forget that unforgettable performance against Argentina at the 2010 World Cup. Lionel Messi threw everything he had at a Yima, and the man just kept saving. Save after save, diving low, springing high. He finally conceded one goal, but not before making Messi look human. It was so good, even the Argentine players clapped him off the pitch. At number 8, we have Okocha. He didn't just play football, he danced with it. Okocha was the type of player who made defenders question their career choices mid-match. Okocha played for many countries in Europe. He started in Germany, where he had many moments, including the famous goal against Germany's legendary goalkeeper Oliver Kahn. In Fenerbahce in Turkey, he won 2 league titles in 2 seasons in 1996 and 1997. This time at Paris Saint-Germain added another gem to his collection, winning the French Ligue 1 title in the 2001-2002 season. But JJ's impact wasn't just about medals, it was about moments. In Buttering Wonders in England, he took a mid-table Premier League side and made them a must-watch TV. It was the flashiest club, but he brought light. He kept butting up, lost games, and became a cult hero, taking them to the League 1 Cup final in 2004. Ask any Butting fan, they will scream his name. They also coined the phrase, "so good, they named him twice." On the international scene, Okocha shone like a star meant for the sky. In AFCON 1994, he was a key figure in Nigeria's golden squad that brought home the title. 2 years later, at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, he helped lead Nigeria to an iconic gold medal, the first by an African nation in men's football. Brazil and Argentina were in the tournament, by the way. It wasn't handed to them, they earned it. Individually, he made AFCON's team of the tournament in 2000 and was even selected for FIFA's World Cup squad of the tournament in 1998. That's an elite company. At number 7, we have Kichi Ayana. His story has always carried a touch of magic, the kind that makes you feel like destiny had his hands all over it. From the moment he lit up the 2013 FIFA Under-17 World Cup in the United Arab Emirates, it was clear this kid from Imo State had something extra. He wasn't just scoring goals, he was orchestrating them, dancing between defenders, and playing like he belonged on every big stage. The tournament ended with Nigeria lifting the trophy and Ayana walking away as the golden ball winner. He didn't just shine, he stole the whole spotlight. What followed was a meteoric rise. Snapped up by Manchester City, he quickly broke into a squad stacked with global stars, and yet he didn't shrink. In 2015-2016 season, he tasted Premier League glory, adding a League Cup to the mix too. Then came the move to Leicester City in 2017 for a then record £25 million for a Nigerian player. And at Leicester, he came alive. The 2020-2021 season saw him turn into a different animal. Goals flew in, and he led Leicester to their first ever FA Cup triumph, becoming joint top scorer in the competition that year. The following season, he held the Arts Community Shield to their cabinet with a decisive penalty against City, his former club. With 5 major trophies in his cabinet and a career that still got plenty of pages left, Ayana's legacy as one of Nigeria's most decorated modern stars is already secure. He's done it at the youth level, the domestic level, and on the biggest stages of English football. At number 6, we have Victor Osimhen, who redefined what that even means for a Nigerian striker in Europe. Every time he steps on the pitch, it looks like he's got something to prove. Maybe it's the tough Lagos upbringing, maybe it's the memory of being rejected as a kid, or the struggles that shaped him. Whatever it is, Osimhen channels it all into goals, lots of them. This breakout came on the world stage at the 2015 FIFA Under-17 World Cup, where he bagged a ridiculous 10 goals and won the Golden Boot. Nigeria lifted the trophy, and just like that, the football world started paying attention. Fast forward a few years, and Osimhen was running riot in Serie A. His 2022-2023 season with Napoli was iconic and historic. He bagged in 26 goals, became the league's top scorer, and shattered George Weah's long-standing record for most goals in a Serie A season by an African player. Napoli hadn't tasted league glory in over 3 decades, not since Maradona and Osimhen brought the Scudetto back to Naples like a king returning home. For his effort, he was named the African Footballer of the Year in 2023, the first Nigerian to win it since Nwankwo Kanu in 1999. That alone tells you how real the air he's breathing is. Adding a Best Young Player award from Serie A Golden Boot at youth level, and a growing tally of international goals, 22 in just 35 caps, and you have got a player whose trophy count might still be matching up to his individual dominance, but whose impact is already undeniable. At number 5, we have Daniel "The Bull" Amokachi. He won across multiple countries for club and country in big matches and iconic moments. His career bloomed early at Club Brugge in Belgium, where he became a legend in the making. 2 league titles, a Belgium Cup, and a flurry of Super Cups made sure of that. He put his name in history by scoring Club Brugge's first ever UEFA Champions League goal. That's legacy right there. By the time he left Belgium, his trophy haul already looked like a seasoned veteran. Then came England and Everton. Amokachi joined the Toffees and helped them lift the 1995 FA Cup, famously coming off the bench to score twice in the semi-final without even being officially subbed in. That moment is still a cult legend in Everton folklore. He added the Charity Shield that same year before heading to Turkey, where he collected more silverware with Besiktas, including a Turkish Cup and Super Cup. But it's his international resume that really glows. AFCON champions in 1994, Olympic gold medalists in 1996, that Nigerian Dream Team side that stunned the world in Atlanta, Amokachi was at the heart of it, leading the charge with grit and charisma. On the individual front, he twice finished 3rd in the African Footballer of the Year vote, holding his own in an era full of giants. Although Amokachi ranked up an incredible 13 major trophies. Next up at number 4, we have Sunday Oliseh. What he achieved with that minimalist swagger still rings loud in Nigerian football history. As far as decorated careers go, Oliseh's trophy cabinet is a neat, glittering display of both club and country conquest. Let's start with Ajax. The Dutch giant scooped him up in the late 90s, and right away, he was part of a machine that dominated the Eredivisie. Oliseh helped them clinch the Dutch League title in 1997-1998 season, while also lifting the Dutch Cup twice during his time there. He was a midfield wall and intelligent, fierce in tackle, clean in his passing, and can shoot too, just like the 1998 World Cup screamer against Spain. Then came Dortmund. In the 2001-2002 season, Oliseh added the German Bundesliga title to his collection, becoming the only Nigerian to ever win it. With the Super Eagles, he was part of the golden 1994 squad that lifted the AFCON trophy, Nigeria's first since 1980. That same team would also climb to 5th in the FIFA World Rankings, the highest Nigerians ever reached. 2 years later in Atlanta, Oliseh was back in the mix as Nigeria shocked the world by winning Olympic gold in football, beating Brazil and Argentina along the way. 6 major trophies might not sound like a truckload compared to others, but it's the quality of what he won that stands out. AFCON, Olympic gold, Bundesliga, Eredivisie, and a historic World Cup moment. At number 3, we have Pyke George. He was a winger with elegance, vision, and a motto that never tired. At Ajax, he was part of one of the most dominant club sides of the 1990s. Between 1993 and 1996, Ajax subsequently ran Europe, and Pyke was in the middle of it. He helped them win 3 straight Eredivisie titles, the UEFA Champions League in 1995. That team, filled with stars like Patrick Kluivert, Edgar Davids, and Clarence Seedorf, made history. And there was Pyke, delivering world-class crosses, scoring goals, and providing balance on the right wing like few others could. In fact, it was such a pivotal part of that side that when Ajax lifted the Champions League trophy that night in Vienna, it was a moment of pride for Nigeria. He made the Super Eagles visible on the highest club stage possible, and he didn't stop there. That Ajax squad cleaned house, also winning the UEFA Super Cup in 1995 and the Continental Cup, what we now call the FIFA World Club Cup. By the time Pyke left Amsterdam, he has 6 major club trophies. He later played for Real Betis in Spain and added more brilliance to his resume, although the major silverware was mostly stacked in those Ajax years. But what really makes Pyke George one of Nigeria's most decorated icons truth is that his club's success came hand in hand with international glory. He was a key player in the legendary 1994 AFCON winning team. That same year, he was also part of Nigeria's maiden World Cup appearance in the US, where he memorably celebrated a goal with an iconic celebration. 2 years later, he added Olympic goals to his haul, standing tall among legends like Kanu, Okocha, and Amokachi as Nigeria shocked the world in Atlanta. With 10 major trophies under his belt, including Champions League, AFCON, Olympic gold, and multiple domestic titles, Kichi George sits comfortably near the top of Nigeria's most decorated players. At number 2, we have Shun Obi. When you talk about trophies, medals, and big stage brilliance, Shun Obi's name stands tall. Mikel's career is one of sheer consistency, loyalty, and a closet full of silverware that will make any Nigerian footballer proud. Mikel is a UEFA Champions League winner. That alone places him in an elite bracket. Not many Nigerian players can boast of that iconic night in Munich in 2012 when Chelsea outlasted Bayern. Mikel was central that night in midfield. A year later, he added the UEFA Europa League title to that collection, showing his adaptability and staying power across competitions. In England, he was a constant presence in the golden era for Chelsea. 2 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, and a Community Shield. He earned every one of them with over a decade of service in one of the world's most competitive clubs. Mikel was never the guy chasing headlines, but his name was always on the team sheet when it mattered most. The trust top managers had in him spoke volumes. Mourinho called him the intelligence of midfield. That's no small praise. Mikel was equally influential on the international stage. He helped Nigeria to the 2013 African Cup of Nations. Mikel, as a senior figure and midfield engine, was pivotal in that historic run. Then came the 2016 Olympics. Most stars would have skipped it. Mikel chose to captain a young Nigerian side and came back with a bronze. Individually, Mikel made his mark early. African Young Player of the Year back-to-back in 2005 and 2006. He was second only to Lionel Messi at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in 2005, earning the silver ball. That tournament was Nigeria's loud announcement of Mikel's genius. Chelsea snapped him up soon after, and the rest is history. At number 1, we have Kanu Nwankwo. He was a magician, a footballing enigma who moved through Europe like a breeze, picking up trophies like souvenirs. Kanu played for Ajax and he helped them rule Europe. He was a Champions League winner in 1995, part of one of the most iconic club sides in the 90s. But it wasn't just that title. He won the Eredivisie 3 times, lifted the UEFA Super Cup, and bagged the International Cup before his 20th birthday. He moved to Inter Milan, picked up the UEFA Cup, then landed at Arsenal, yet the legend only grew. And let's not forget, it was after doctors said he might never play again due to a serious heart condition. But Kanu came back stronger. At Highbury, he gave fans moments of magic. Those 3 goals in 15 minutes against Chelsea were history. He won the Premier League twice, including being part of the Invincibles, the only side to go unbeaten through an entire APL season. He added 3 FA Cups with 2 different teams, Arsenal and Portsmouth, and that's a resume many legends envy. Back home, Kanu was royalty. He won the Under-17 World Cup in 1993 and the African Cup of Nations in 1994, but 1996 was his true Nigerian moment, Olympic gold in Atlanta. Nigeria stunned Brazil and then Argentina, and Kanu was at the heart of it all, dazzling defenders, clutch in the big moment. He won African Footballer of the Year that same year and claimed it again in 1999. And when you zoom out and look at the full picture, Kanu is one of the very few players in world football to win the UEFA Champions League, UEFA Cup, Premier League, FA Cup, Olympic gold, and league titles across multiple countries. That's not decorated, that's Hall of Fame stuff. In fact, it's legendary. So if you enjoyed the video, you might want to watch the next video on your end screen, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like.